Today I'm going to show you the SP-404 Mark II sequencer trick that saved my live set. And I'm going to get to it as soon as I shout out today's patron, and that shout out goes to Andrew McKenzie. Thank you so very much for the support. Let's get started. So if you're not aware, I have been working on a new live set revolving around the Roland SP-404 Mark II, the Sainido Tempo Pad C16, my SPD-SX, and a few other pieces of gear. Right now I've got the Arturia Mini Freak set up right here, and I am using it to build the set, like sampling directly into the 404 Mark II. Once the actual set is done, I will probably swap this out for the Roland S1 and a key step, just to keep it all pretty much up here, nice and small. But I've been working on a new song and building it up in my 404. Keep in mind the sounds you're going to be hearing on this one are pretty much raw samples from the Mini Freak that haven't been mixed or EQ'd or anything together to actually make them cohesive. It's pretty aggressive right now. As you can hear, definitely needs some work, but I'm going to cross that bridge when I come to it. But speaking of crossing bridges, one barrier that I came up against pretty early in trying to work with the SP-404 was that even though I could set the different patterns to be triggered via MIDI on my Sainido Tempo Pad here, I could not start and stop the pattern sequencer initially via MIDI from the Tempo Pad or any MIDI device. There might be a way. I'm not super familiar with like MMC messages and that kind of thing, so I'm not sure, but I could not figure it out. So instead, what I have done is come up with a bit of a trick to not only be able to effectively start the song via external MIDI control on the 404, but also sort of give myself time to lock into the tempo and get used to where I need to be at. So let me show you where I'm at. I do have output assign set to on for the click. So you are going to be able to hear my click coming out the back of the 404, not just through the headphones. That's just for the purposes of this video so you can hear. But basically, what you can do on the SP-404 Mark II, since I believe the 4.04 update, is you can have a pad sequenced with no sample on it. This effectively gives you an empty pattern. So I'm going to put that pattern right here. Actually, let's put it right here, really out of the way, okay? So I'm in pattern mode. So you can see this is page 1. I've got a lot of samples. And then over on page 2, or page B, got my sub, got a little arpy thing, and I've got a more plucky bass. So what I want to do is take one of these blank empty sample slots and sequence it. So just to make sure we never accidentally trigger it, I'm going to go to bank E and then hit it again. So I'm actually in bank J. I'm going to go to my pattern select. As you can see, we're on page A there for my patterns. Let's just put the blank pattern down here in spot 13. So I hit record. I'm going to put it right there. If I go up to the screen, we can see we want the tempo to be at the proper speed for the song we're playing. I'm going to drop the measure length down to 1. And that's because when the SP-404 Mark II switches patterns, it waits until the end of the current pattern. So if this is always a 1-bar pattern, we can switch over to another pattern very quickly. So if I trigger pattern like 2, it'll just go, hit it now, go, 2, 3, 4, if that makes sense. So now your screen will probably look like this. This is real-time recording. We actually want to hit remain and go to TR rec because we're just going to step sequence our empty sample in. So I hit rec, and now as you can see, the sequencer is running. This is just 1 bar long. If we look on the screen, we can see it's taken us through 1 bar. Now if we hold sub pad, that's going to allow us to select the sample we want to sequence. So as I'm holding it, I'm going to push the bank button for E, and then push it again for J. Still holding sub pad, I'm going to select the pad in the bottom right-hand corner here. This is about as far away from our samples as we can get. It's flashing. I release sub pad. We're now in the sequencer. I'm going to put it right here. Again, there's no sample there. There's no note on it whatsoever, so it is not going to make any sound, but that's what we want. If we hit exit, we'll see we now have a pattern down here. Just like that. we've got a completely empty pattern that not only starts the sequencer, but it also starts the click track for us. So really quick, before we actually showcase how this works practically, let's go over how I have my tempo pad C16 set up here. These are my 6 different patterns that I've got for the song so far, and I actually have them mapped to these 6 pads right here, same exact shape. And these are all set up to be the program change. So I've got it on channel 5, which is where I have the MIDI set for my 404. That screen's gonna be hard to read, but basically up top in the corner here, channel 5 and program change, and the number is 0. That corresponds with this pattern right here. That's gonna be pattern 0. Then pattern 1, 2, 3, and then 6 and 7, because it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So anytime I push these pads here, it will trigger these patterns once the sequencer is running. So we'll have to start the sequencer over here, but now it's running, right? So now anytime I push one of these buttons, it's going to start the song as soon as this sequence is done playing, or done with a rotation anyway, and it's only 1 bar long. So now I can go to my samples here, where I've got my drums. I can hit a button to cue up the first pattern I want and start playing the drums. Obviously that was not at all what I wanted to play or the right order because I'm holding a camera, but that's the gist of the trick. Essentially, you're just giving yourself one empty pattern to start the sequencer. And now I can go back to my samples, I'm ready to play, I can cue up whatever pattern I need, and it's just ready to go. I know this might not seem like much if you're not used to playing live or if you've never thought about using the 404's pattern sequencer in a live application, but when I'm also trying to juggle finger drumming or triggering things with my fingers, playing keys, whether it be on a Mini Freak or on an Arturia key step, or playing physical drums over here on my SP-404X, being able to already have the click track going and being able to quickly just hit a pad to cue up a pattern is going to be invaluable to me. This completely cut out so much of the headache I was fearing I was going to face. Now I have this hold pattern basically, and I can even use this to end a song too, if that makes sense, which is really, really nice. It also means I can change programs with stuff like my Morningstar MC6 Pro down here, which actually is not plugged in right now, but that will also work no problem. Anything that can send program change, once this sequencer is running, the SP-404 is ready to switch patterns from a MIDI command, no issue whatsoever. So let's switch over to the other camera and show you how smooth something like this can get. Remember, these sounds are unmixed and un-EQ'd. They're just like raw ideas that I took from the Mini Freak and put directly into the 404 Mark II. So I hope that does make sense. That's the sequencing trick that has pretty much saved this live rig setup. Seriously, I can't tell you how glad I was when I figured out I could do this and just have a nice, easy hold pattern ready to go. And then I can play my instruments, still switch patterns easily. What's cool is I could even trigger samples over the top of this without starting another pattern. Obviously my timing wasn't great there, but you get the idea. So that's gonna do it for this one. Hopefully you found this video informative or at least entertaining. If you did, be sure to leave a like on it. If not, you can always leave a dislike, that's okay too. Doesn't hurt my feelings, just makes me try that much harder next time. Either way, be sure to hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. Thank you so very much for being here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.